Welcome back. Lot Talk powered by Lotpop. We are on episode 9. We are at Christmas Eve. We are at a gift to give to you from Lot Talk, from Lotpop. We have a very, very, very special treat for you guys. This is the ultimate gift that we could give anybody in the car business because guess what? We've got two legends that are about to join us on stage. Two gentlemen that know bucket management, that know used cars, arguably two of the best that's ever talked about used cars and bucket management. We're going to have Jasen Rice, president, founder, and CEO of Lotpop Inc., and we're going to have Mr. Tommy Gibbs from Tommy Gibbs Training. John, Ronaldo, I can't contain myself because I'm ready to bring these guys on stage, but I got to ask you, John, are you excited that you got somebody that has a little bit more tenure in the car business? Now, he might have not been cranking the Model Ts like you, but he dang sure got a lot of juice to bring. He's got a lot. You excited, John?
Yeah, dude. I was sitting there while you're talking, man, this saying, Merry Christmas to our partners, our dealers, our managers, anybody that watches this podcast, man. And it just brought up to my mind, I was thinking about the three kings, man, the three kings cutting across the desert, following the star, right? Bringing frankincense and myrrh, brother. And so, we're bringing the two kings this morning, right? And I'm quite positive that they're going to deliver a great gift to all these industry professionals that tune in and watch our podcast. And thank you for that, by the way. And Merry Christmas to everyone. But yeah, I'm excited as I can get, really, Chris.
100%. Ronaldo, I know you probably, as our director of training here at Lotpop, I know you probably have a laundry list of questions for these guys, but are you going to be able to contain the excitement to be able to answer the question or ask the questions?
It's going to be tough. But yeah, here we are, Christmas Eve. And, we couldn't think of a better present that we could present to the industry than a conversation with these two gentlemen. So I'm jacked up, fired up. Ready, rock and roll. Let's get after it.
It's very rare that you get an opportunity to get these two guys together and then we get a chance, the three of us, get a chance to deliver questions to them that we've either received from our dealer partners on our individual calls or on this podcast, right? We get a chance to deliver some of these questions and sit at the feet and be trained or reminded, right? Chris, you brought up, as long as I've been in the car business, man, I'm an old dog, but I'm capable of learning new tricks or being retrained, right? And so that's what I'm really looking forward to this morning is all the stuff that I've probably forgotten that I'm about to be reminded about. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Ronaldo, did you get your pen ready?
Oh, yes, sir. Always.
You sure?
Your worst pen is better than your worst memory. Your worst pen is better than your best memory. Put it that way.
There you go. There you go.
Locked, cocked, and ready to rock. Let's do it.
Well, good, because I got my pen ready for all the listeners out there. Lean in real close. Be sure to hit replay. For all the viewers out there, get your pen ready, because without further ado, I want to bring him up on stage right now. Mr. Jasen Rice, president, founder, CEO of Lotpop, and Mr. Tommy Gibbs from Tommy Gibbs Training. Gentlemen, welcome to the stage. Jasen, Tommy, thank you guys so much for taking time out of y'all's days to join us here at Lot Talk. So we're going to dive right into it. The number one thing that we've been talking about for these last several weeks, the topic of bucket management with a lot of different things that come with it. In 60 seconds or less, starting with you, Tommy, what does bucket management mean to you?
What it means to me is that you have to, that all bucket management obviously starts on day one, the moment the car comes in inventory. And it means really having a unique strategy for that car to make sure it doesn't exceed its assigned terminal buckets, so to speak. In other words, we focus on life cycle management. Every car has a different life cycle. The fallacy in the business is that we tend to want to treat all used cars the same, and they aren't the same. So it's a matter of starting that bucket management with a strategy on day one. I'd love to hear what Jasen has to say about it.
Yeah, and I know you take. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, well, I know Tommy takes a specific approach to cars. Given it its life cycle, taking each car and treating it differently, which should happen. Some cars deserve 20 days, some cars deserve 30 days or 40 days, right? So, each car gets attacked that way. But to me, if you're not watching what's coming in and what's going out in those age buckets, in bucket management, you're going to end up in an aging problem. I know there's been some preaching lately. It's like, don't manage age any longer. And again, some of that stuff that Tommy talks about isn't focused so much on just, hey, every car's got to be gone by a certain day. Each one should be different. But in my eyes too, that each bucket should be different, because there's this certain amount of levels that you don't want each of these age buckets to exceed. And, our biggest focus is, having, and here I like running in 15-day buckets. And I say that because I was just at a 20 group, and some guys had 0 to 25 bucket. That scared the heck out of me. Because again, if you're going to let a car sit for 25 days is what it's telling me. And then you'll start adjusting. And that scares me, because we're going to shoot for the moon probably for the first shot. So I would do 15-day buckets, and then look at 0 to 30 and say have 65% or more there, 70+% more of your inventory there. But I really think that middle bucket, that 31 to 60, is the even more important, because it's the hardest adjustment one. I know I got 60 seconds, I'm running out, but I would say I would cap it off with this is, that 31 to 60 is the hardest one, because you're making decisions on 35-day-old cars that are the toughest, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had, gentlemen, like I said, a vast array of just different topic, different question. I want to kick it off, or kick it over to Ronaldo. And Ronaldo, as our director of training here at Lotpop, you have experienced a lot of different questions, as people start trying to wrap their head around the way we do things here at Lotpop, that exposed a lot of things that trickled down from just the base conversation of bucket management. If you would, at either Tommy or at Jasen, throw out a question or two there that has been the redundancy that the world needs to understand the simplistics of.
Thanks, Chris. First of all, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us. As I work with dealers on a daily basis, probably the biggest obstacle that I see from guys being successful with their bucket management is the process of reconning vehicles and get them frontline ready. Half of them feel like they have to go through the entire process before they shoot pictures, put the description and the price up. Others will shoot a handful of pictures and get the process started as soon as possible. What are the best recommendations that you can give to start a vehicle from day one, whether it's looking at it a 15-day bucket or a 30-day bucket, or individually? How can a dealer get out of the gate as strong as possible and make sure that they set themselves up for success when it comes to managing bleed through and managing buckets?
Tommy?
Yeah, I'll take that first part of that, I guess. I'm a believer in getting some kind of photos online right away with a price online right away. I don't understand dealers who want to wait till the car's been reconned before they get it out there. Look, the meter is clicking on day one. You own the car on day one. The sooner you can get some exposure, the better off you're going to be. I'd love to hear, again, I hate to keep flipping over to Jasen, but I'd like to know how Jasen feels about that.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, get the car detailed photoed regardless prior. Some guys, I've had a pushback on somebody saying, well, what if I decide to wholesale? And I'm like, well, a clean wholesale car, sell for more money. Well, yeah. So just go ahead, detail it, photo it, get the thing up online. I would say is the most important. But as one of the things I want to give a caveat to this whole thing is that we've talked about it a lot, but I don't think people put it in this perspective. The only reason why you want to shrink that turnaround time from maybe 10 days to 5 days is So you sell the car 5 days faster. So what I do find is, we get our back end, our service tight. We go from 10 days down to 5 days, and we're high-fiving each other. But when it comes to inventory and bucket management, that used car manager now, if he's treating that car that the same, where if the average age of sale is 35 days and he's never adjusted that and it's always stayed at 35 days, those extra 5 days ain't making you anything. You just killed yourself for nothing. So the whole point of making cars turn around 5 days faster is to sell them 5 days faster. Take your average age of sale from 35 to 30, or you're just wasted a bunch of your time. And that's an area. These two have to go hand in hand. And I don't think a lot of people look at that.
Yeah, and if I could add on top of that, the problem is the whole recon amount of time it takes in there. And in my company, we have a recon tool. Everybody's got a recon tool. But the point is that a recon tool doesn't necessarily improve your recon time. What improves your recon time is identifying where the snafus are and attacking it. And far too often, people are sort of tracking their recon and thinking that's going to speed it up. And it doesn't speed up unless we have a lot of intensity, a lot of energy behind that. And that really requires a meeting a couple of times a week where we sit down and we go over what's going on. Tell me why this car is still hung up and we haven't got the parts for it, whatever it may be. And until you do that, it's hard to speed the recon time up. And then that speeding that recon time up ties into what you're talking about and getting a faster turn and a faster sales rate. And we all know, and I know that Jason agrees with this, we make the most money on the car we sell in the first 30 days. After 30 days, it goes to crap. And the real reality is we make the most money on the car we sell in the first 10 days. That's always been true. So the more we can speed things up and then make sure that pricing is aligned and our energy is aligned behind it and pushing and shoving, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah, I mean, if you got an aggressive back end and service director and everything, and he's working as hard, but you got a lazy used car manager who don't, I mean, you're spinning your wheels. So, but then you go opposite. You got aggressive used car managers, go, and then you got somebody slow in the back. So these two teams have to be really working together to make it hum and see full benefit of that turnaround.
Well, the stores that we have that do the best job with that are the ones that are disciplined enough to do that trade walk meeting every morning, and they include the service manager in that trade walk. And when the stores that do that, they get a lot of energy because the service manager say, give me the keys, that car's got some issues, let us take a look at it, whatever it may be. And when that happens, that's when things really start to move quickly. But if you're not doing a lot, if you're not doing a trade walk, number one, and if you're not including the service manager, that works to your detriment. But if only the used car manager is kind of making the decision, okay, the car came in last night and we're going to keep this car, and that's the only person involved in this process, it just isn't as effective.
Wow, great. Thank you for that. So the next step, when you get a vehicle priced, described, photos online, you're active out with your digital dealership, what frequency level should a dealer look at pricing vehicles and adjusting pricing according to the market? What do you guys recommend?
Jason, you're the expert with this, so you take it.
Well, I don't, that's the thing. I don't give it a window of time. I mean, obviously, you want to at least give it a 3-day window just to see if that last adjustment worked or not. But, the way we teach dealers is look at your holes. If you're 10 units off pace, where can you find those 10 units? And so if it's in my large pickup trucks, I'm going there. And that's where I'm going to start attacking is my large pickup trucks, get these sale rates going. And now if I go look at large and there's 20 in that bucket, well, then because that's bucket management too, right? My segment buckets, my years, 2023s versus 2020s and price buckets. There's a lot of different buckets than just age buckets you need to manage. So as I'm digging through my truck bucket and there's 20 units sitting there and I'm only on pace to sell 10, well, then I'm going to look at all of them. And even if I changed the price 2 days ago, did I get a lead? Did it increase SRP VDPs? Doesn't mean I'm making an adjustment, but I should be aware and understand where that's happening. Now, if it goes 3, 5, 10 days, because sometimes I'm just going to prep a car. And what I mean by that, we do flat pricing. So I want to be at $40,000 even, $39,995. Well, if this car is 10 days old, just got done with service, I was at 41,000 and I don't want to go to 40 yet. And it just got done. I might go to 40,005, and I might only do that just through the weekend and go, okay, by Monday, I'm going to go to 40 grand and hit that bucket. So that's just an example. But so I might only let it sit there for 3 or 4 days. Or what we could teach is priming a car. Day one, I want to be at 40 grand because it's a good traction on price point shoppers. But if I don't have photos yet, descriptions, all that hasn't fed yet, and I want a big bang, is I'll prep that car at 40,005. And now day one, I'm 40,005. But by day three, when all that stuff's done, I'm going to go to 40,000. Now that gives me what I call trifecta. My photos are there. I'm hitting a 40 grand bucket. And the reason why I went ahead and put it at 40,005, now it says reduced online, because like sites like cars.com, if I drop at 500, it says reduced. So here I have a 3-day-old car, already says reduced, photos hitting the bucket. So, and again, I don't care if it's a 37-day-old car. I'm going to take the same thing. I'm going to bucket manage whatever I'm suffering in, age bucket, price buckets, segment buckets, age buckets, whatever that bucket is. I'm looking at them all. And so, I have dealers, very aggressive dealers. I'll name them out last, go forward. We'll literally we'll pull as we're going through our meeting. I'm like, hey, what about this car? You changed price yesterday. You want to look at it? And he'd be like, yeah, let's pull it up. And you know what? We made it a bad decision there. Let's go ahead and drop it another 500. And within a day, we made an adjustment again. It's just that second set of eyes and accountability. So, Tommy, go ahead and add to that too.
Well, I'm always leery when a dealer, I'll ask people what their pricing strategy is, and I know that you probably run into this as well. And they'll say things like, we change our prices once a week, and it just makes me shudder. I don't think that there's a set time that you can put on price changes. Every car is different. The market's changing daily. You've got to have your head in that game every day and taking a look at as you're talking about there, David. I keep wanting to think that you're David Long. Why is that? That's really bad.
Because you just came off of Clubhouse.
Yeah, I just came off that call, I guess. But yeah. I'm sorry, Jason. I think that we're better off to make sure that we're in there every day, looking at those buckets and really attacking the vehicles that need to be attacked and paying attention. Like I love what you said about the price in the car for a couple of days, and you change the price and you got a price reduction and it shows up online. That's really, really powerful to the consumer looking at those numbers. So you can't put a time. I guess the bottom line here is, and we can both agree, you can't just put a timeline and say, I'm going to change prices on every car every other day. That's insanity.
I've seen that. A couple things I want to add to this. When I was with Viato all the time, I would purposely say it this way. I'd ask a used car manager, how often do you change the price of a vehicle? Oh, I'm in there every day. I'm in there changing price. I said, no, I didn't ask you how often are you changing the price of your inventory. How often do you change the price of a vehicle? And that's where they go, well, I wait 7 to 10 days and give it a shot. I'm like, and that's where I go, hold on a second now. And that's where you want to realign that stuff and make sure, again, it doesn't matter when you did it. Did it work? And is it a position in a way? Because sometimes, maybe you drop the price on Monday and you want by Wednesday or Thursday, you want to make adjustment again to maybe spike some activity for the weekend, right? Especially if it's end of the month and you need some kick in the ass and get stuff going. So, figure out.
I love the way you said that. I love the way you described that. That's great. You did learn something at Viato.
Yeah, most of it came from you too. As we all know, right?
So if we're priming a vehicle and we're bringing it to the market, and this is, for you, Jason, you're priming a vehicle, you bring it to the market, you're going to make an adjustment, but then also manage the change or the shift that you're looking for in your SRPs and VDPs. Is there a target percentage that you're looking for that would be considered moving the needle and being successful with an adjustment that you just made?
Oh gosh, not that I hate that question, but it's one of those. I hate it because
you didn't ask me.
I hate it because I don't like looking at that because you put, people say, well, how many VDPs does it take to get a car? What conversion? I mean, obviously you want to, cars.com, there's a threshold of like 1.5. Auto Traders, maybe a 2% or more that you want this threshold. But I get that asked a lot. It's like, how many VDPs should I get up per car before it sells? Or what's because here's the thing, there's a lot of cars, probably a good 30% of this dealership's inventories that will sell without needing a lead or a VDP, right? We're putting people on a car, right? We get a subprime customer in, or somebody has negative equity, go throw them on this 2-day-old car and it's gone. And so did that car underperform? Did that car suck? And so, And, initially some of these tools, that kind of data recycled and started over every month. And so that data wasn't good. The second third of the month, you're back to zero. And then all of a sudden I'm at the second of the month and it's converting at a 10%. Well, it's going, okay, well, since this month, it showed up 10 times and I got clicked once and it's a 10% conversion. Not seeing that last month was this a 0.7, less than a 1% conversion. So it depends on how you're viewing that data. And again, and the reason why I hate it is because maybe I'm totally wrong and there is that threshold that you want to work toward, but it just wasn't one of those ones that I thought. I just want to kind of get a gauge and to say, yeah, it looks like it's performing good there. Looks like it's performing on my website. I think it's a lead count that you really want to see. It's like, did I get a lead? Because the conversion don't matter. You could convert at 8% with no leads or no phone call. What's that matter? It's telling me that maybe customers are clicking on the car and seeing something they don't like, maybe dirty photos or something. But that car that's doing that can throw off that average in the meantime too. You see what I'm saying? I can have a 8, 10, but if I'm not getting leads and no one's picking up the phone, what does it matter?
Right. Okay.
Tommy, I don't know if you want to add that.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to that. I just know that you've heard the saying there's an ass for every seat. There's also a price for every ass. So at some point, as you start to price cars, pricing drops traffic at some point. It just has to. Right. So if you're not getting action, you probably need something's probably wrong with the pricing.
So you're saying basically you don't have much to say about it. You don't like the number either. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's right.
Fantastic. The next one, after, we're looking at that first 30-day bucket. We've gotten everything in place, price described, photos. When it comes to taking, and we're a huge proponent of making sure that we take those switch opportunities and work them when we find them on new inventory, as opposed to waiting for lead generation after we've priced it and described it and gotten everything going on there. How often should we approach a switch lead on a new piece of inventory when we're going through that whole process of bringing it to market?
I'll take that too, Tommy, because I know I know you're aware of the switch leads, but here, even day one. So some dealers are afraid to talk to a switch lead about a current vehicle. And again, just feel everybody in a switch lead to be an active lead on a sold vehicle. Somebody wanted a F-150, it was $40,000. It's sold. Now I just traded a Silverado that I'm going to price at $40,000. It's 1 day old. Of course, I'm not getting traction yet. So why don't we see if we can get this F-150 buyer, switch them to this Silverado, or it could be an F-150 for F-150. Hey, that one's sold, but I got this one in stock. So that's the switch of what we're talking about. And I know a lot of dealers don't want to get a customer excited about a car, having them come in when it's not ready yet and stuff like that. I don't know if I'd have a fear of that. I'd want to get somebody excited about it. I would try to expedite it and maybe say, hey, give me a day or two, I'll get it ready and get you in. But I also don't want to get somebody out the door and end up somewhere else in that day or two. So I wouldn't mind having somebody come in and take a look at it, even if it's not ready, because I'm obviously going to let them know it's not ready and tell them, put it through my service department, do the trade walk like Tommy was talking about, but tell them, hey guys, here's what we're planning on doing. Tires, brakes, we're going to replace that crack in the windshield. Of course, we'll have it detailed ready for sale. Is there anything else you'd like us to do on this vehicle to make it right for you, right? So I wouldn't have a problem. And then get a deposit and get the thing, hey, yeah, based on everything we want to do, we should be able to have it ready for you on Saturday. What time can you be here? So I would just put customers on cars day one and not be afraid of, well, let's make it right before they come in and make it a shitty car. Unless it's this really bad car, I don't care.
Yeah.
Tommy, you feel the same way? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't have any problem telling them the car hasn't been fully reconditioned. Come take a look at it. I want to get you first in line for it because there's a lot of demand for the vehicle. There's a lot of story you can tell there. So I totally agree with that idea.
Hey, Ronaldo, can I jump in on the switch lead conversation real quick?
By all means, please do.
Hey, Jason and Tommy, and I didn't get a chance, man. Thank you guys for joining us. This is awesome. I can't write fast enough taking all these notes here. So, and I'm around you all the time, Jason. So I'm still taking notes. So, on the switch lead topic, I just feel like I'm seeing a trend out there where the longer that switch lead sits, conversion that is. Could you guys speak to that? Would you agree with that? Do you feel like the earlier we're able to work switch leads and that we have switch leads, you've got a better chance of that lead converting, or do you think it matters? Do you feel like I feel like people, the longer they sit and they shop, customers shop for vehicles, I feel like they get more dialed in. Whereas you catch them earlier on in the cycle, they're more pliable and switch. Do you believe there's anything to that? Because I hear from the dealers a lot of times they shy away from these switch leads because they feel like they're harder to work. And so that was always a curious comment from a dealer to me as far as harder to work. And I always ask the question, what makes them harder? And that common, what I hear back is that, they don't feel like they're as willing to switch over. So I was just curious as your thoughts on getting those early versus later in the cycle.
I would think the sooner you serve something up, the better the opportunity you have to sell somebody a car.
Yeah.
Am I missing something on the switch lead?
No, and I think it's any lead in general, and I think it's human nature. I mean, how many times you started a hobby or working out, or I mean, here I'm going back to collecting baseball cards a little bit, and I'm getting all a little excited, and I'm buying stuff and doing this, but that excitement fizzles at some point in time. I used to pick up my guitar every day for a month to 2 months. Now I'm lucky if I'm picking it up every 2 to 3 weeks now. And so you get to the point where people are shopping, they're getting excited, they're smelling and they're test driving. And if they haven't made a decision, that excitement over time is going to go away. And either they just buy something because they need it. But really, if somebody needs a car, you're going to be able to sell them if you take care of them. That's first and foremost. But it shouldn't matter if the car's in stock or it's a switch lead. Just continue to, serve them. And then, if it's a need, but if it's a want, yeah, I agree with you. If it's just something they want to do. Now, if they're patient and just trying to find the right exact car, and if they're going to spend $30,000, it's going to be exactly what they want, then that's one thing. And there's a lot of people out there like that. And so I don't care if 50, 60 days old. But I mean, there's stats there that show that customers do take 30 to 60 days. So I wouldn't use that as an excuse, because then you're going to use it as an excuse on a 50-day-old lead where the car's still in stock, So, and Tommy, you may not know this. So, what we're finding on these switch leads, it's about a 3% conversion to a sale. But the thing is, we found 60 to 70% of the active leads dealers are working. If I took 60 days of leads, 60 to 70% can't buy the car they wanted anymore. So a lot of dealers, that could be about 1,000 leads, 500 each month or 300 each month, right? So I have 1,000 leads and I could do a 3% conversion on those, 30 extra deals, right? Even if you have 100, that's 3 extra deals. How many dealers want 3 extra deals by the end of the month? So
Sure.
They're workable and they're doable. They might not be the most fun, but there's money there to be had. And so I agree. Yeah, it's human nature for the longer this activity has been going on, the less aggressive and happy they are. But I don't know. I wouldn't want them to use that as an excuse, because then they're going to use it for active lead cars still in stock, and we've called 20 times and just give up on them.
Is there any different cadence, Jason, that calling a switch lead versus an in-stock lead? So all the times we challenge dealers, in-stock leads call every 2 to 3 days. And again, that varies depending, but is there any different cadence for a switch lead or the same thing?
To me, I have a car in my eyes, I have a car in stock for them. No different than if they, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. I wouldn't make it any different. It could be, because if anything, I'm just trying to get them to reply. And maybe if I do it enough, they'll finally just say, stop calling me and email me. You're bugging the shit out of me. I've already bought, or I've stopped looking and I'm going to wait till, summertime. Okay, fine. That's all I needed to know. Sorry for trying to help you, and I'll follow up with you then. I don't know.
But it gives you a reason to try to re-engage the customer. So I don't see any downside to it at all.
Yeah, I agree, Tommy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I tell them. It's like, hey, tell the customer good news, bad news. Bad news, car sold. Good news is I can't sell you anything. I'm here to help now. Okay, let me help you find what you're looking for, even if I have it or not. What do you look for? Truck? What price point? What miles? Let me help you now. So yeah, to your point, it's a different conversation.
Oh, that's such good stuff. Yeah, I actually have a question back, and I want to go a little bit backwards here. Tommy, you were talking about, pricing photos day one, but also Jason, you chimed in about, hey, the vehicle's not fully reconditioned yet. Is that not the same thing as if John Doe were to pull up to the lot and say, hey, I'm looking for a full-size SUV, but I want a darker color and I don't see one out front? Is that not the same thing in the brick and mortar, but on the digital dealership side? Isn't that the same thing? I mean, we would walk the customer back to the trade row and show them the vehicle. But my question around that is, and Tommy, I want to hear your take on this. When we do that in the digital dealership, because we'll do it in the brick and mortar, and in the brick and mortar, we will sit there and tell them, hey, the vehicle's going through a 7 million point inspection. It's going to get this, it's going to get that. It just arrived. What would you recommend, Tommy, of how a dealer should take that vehicle on day one and say those same things in the digital dealership that we would in the brick and mortar?
You're saying in the listing itself online, is that what you're talking about? Because
sir.
Yeah. I'm not so sure how to answer that. I do know that if I'm making contact with a customer, I don't know how you guys approach this. I think video is so powerful. And for a salesperson to go back and have a video in the car sitting out back or wherever it is, and you're talking about the car, to me, that is a little bit like the guy showing up and you're taking the customer out back and showing him the car. Now I'm just doing it on video. So I think that dealers who aren't taking that approach and aren't having it as part of what they do are missing a real opportunity. As far as how to talk about it online, I'm not really sure. You guys are dealing with descriptions all the time. I'm not so much. I would think that Jason maybe can add some insight to that.
Yeah, I mean, go back to the video thing. I wouldn't be afraid of showing even that day one if it's not, obviously if a car is really nasty, no, but if it's a decent vehicle, showing it and then doing another video showing how well you reconned it and how shiny and pretty it is now, and say, hey, here's that car from 2 days ago. Look how nice it is now, shiny, and so don't be afraid of it. And to me, it shows the progress of the work you guys do on cars, that why yours is $500 more than the guy down the street. I mean, look what it was and look what it is now and how good it is. And here's a warranty to back it up. Right. So, I think video part is really good. And you're talking about descriptions. Is that what you're saying? Just, Yeah. Same thing. Why not? I think dealers get too tied up in the descriptions. They want to put one out there and let it ride versus a fresh trade, local detail on the vehicle. We're going to be doing these kind of repairs. If you want to see this car prior to that to see what else you might want to add to it, come on in. We'd love to show you this vehicle. Same with the video, same thing. Hey, this car is this. We're going to replace these tires. We're going to fix this scratch. If it's something you're looking for, coming now before we get it nice and pretty, and everybody's going to want it, right? And then do another video and do another description and just say, hey, here's what we did to the car. Here's what the car has. I think another part of the description, and now that doesn't happen a lot, but like lifted vehicles or trucks and stuff. I mean, example, my 250 sitting right out here. I put 37s in. I got aftermarket tires. I got carpet in there. I got a hard tunnel cover. But I would put a price on that, right? The wheels were $2,500. The tires are this. The carpet's that. The tunnel cover is $2,700. This truck has 10 grand of added features on the vehicle. So also promote that, because a lot of customers, there's a lot of accessories and added things they've done to it. Doesn't mean good or bad, but put a dollar value on it and explain it that way too.
Yeah, and a lot of times when people bring their car in to be traded, they've already cleaned the car up a little bit. It's not always a dog that as we think of. And it's easy to say, hey, look, this car's been really taken care of. We've done nothing to it, and it looks pretty good now, but we're going to make it even better. So, I mean, I think you have a good storyline to talk about in a lot of cases when the car isn't all trashed out.
100%.
So what you both are saying is be transparent.
Yeah.
Transparent with your customer. I love that, right? I think sometimes we try to, as dealers, we get so scared of stuff. We try to mask it over or hide stuff. And I think the customer appreciates transparency. So I appreciate you all saying that.
And Tommy, I think you kind of coined this stuff talking about, well, as consultants, we talk to dealers about how ugly their baby is, but be proud of your baby day one, right? And just like any parent, who cares? I don't care. It's my kid, man. Look at what it is and look what it's going to become,
Yeah. In my early days as a dealer, I had I was a used car manager at the time. I had a salesman working for me. The guy was really kind of a worthless human. But anyway, what he was really good at, though, is he never sold a car that had any age on it. I'm not talking about an aged unit. Everything he sold was fresh pieces that just came in inventory because he knew he could make the most gross profit on those cars. So every day he was always out back scrounging around trying to find cars for people who are looking for cars. And if I was a salesman today, I'd be out there every day with my phone, taking a video of every car that came in. I'd be posting those online. Look, we just got this car in. It's only $12,000, yada, yada, yada. You better get here before someone else does. That would be my mode of operation if I was a salesman today. I would be scrambling to get those fresh pieces online, even though they're not fully detailed and necessarily ready to go.
Yeah, and to your point, I've always told dealers if I was them, I'd be doing a video of my recon process and showing a mechanic, measuring the tires, replacing the tires.
Sure.
But to your point, as a salesman, take that video, go to the back with the service, ask the technician if he minds. Hey, look, here's Tommy's technician. He's already found this. We're taking care of that. Look at this tires to see this. We're going to make sure that's right for you when you get here, and just show it, expose it. People want that.
Absolutely.
Oh, you guys are preaching the gospel this morning. I see John's head turning and he's writing frantically. I mean, this is fantastic.
I feel like Tommy's back in. I feel like Tommy's back in Yankee Stadium, man, knocking homers out of Yankee Stadium.
Right. Yeah.
I want to put a pin in this recon because I want to throw a grenade out there. And for all of our viewers that are on our YouTube channel watching this right now, please drop some questions for Jasen, for Tommy. We've also got up there Tommy's website at TommyGibbsTraining.com. You can reach him through there directly as well. So please drop a comment with any additional questions around that recon, around that, pricing strategy in the fresh days of that vehicle. But now I want to throw a grenade out there. And Anderson, you had a lot of conversation around this, a lot of questions that were thrown at you your way from some of our dealer partners, some of our viewers out there. And I want you to try to throw, and it's going to be hard because you just can't throw Tommy Gibbs or Jasen Rice a curveball, but I want you to try and throw a curveball around the topic we discussed a few weeks ago of the detriment to bucket management because holding out for gross and costing gross.
Yeah. There's a million different ways you can go with that, but I find it, I would be interested in both your takes on this because I think one of the harder things that, at least I'm speaking for myself, I think Chris agrees too, because he brought it up, but when we're talking with dealers and getting them to understand market pricing or adjusting pricing right out of the gate, as opposed to pricing our inventory up. We're not selling what we're stocking. We're pricing our inventory up. And then as a result, our inventory starts to bleed through, and then we eventually cut it by a lot. So we end up costing ourselves the gross anyway, but it's later on in the cycle. But when we're trying to get them to understand, if I'm more aggressive on this out of the gate, I sell it faster. I'll make a higher rate of return on that vehicle. And I think that's one of the hardest concepts that we find, Ronaldo, Chris, and myself, one of the hardest concepts we find that getting dealers to grasp that and understand.
Let me jump on that, and then Jasen can chime in. It's an absolute, it is hard for people to kind of comprehend what I'm going to say. And we're saying the same sort of thing. If they price their problematic cars really aggressive early on, then their overall grosses are going to be better, because as a problematic car starts to age out on you, you give up even more and more and more, and that drags your overall average gross profit down. When we look at in our software, when we look at dealers, the dealer has a car priced on the internet, and that in the first 30-day bucket, and we do those averages, you'll oftentimes see that the average gross profit that's sitting on those cars that are under 30 days old, let's just use a number, $3,200. That's why they have them sitting on the internet if they sell them for the internet price. When you look at those cars that are over 30 days old, the average gross profit on those cars might be a couple $100 or sometimes a minus on that group of cars. And And the larger that group of cars are that are over 30 days old, the worse that whole pricing thing seems to get, and the more it drags your averages down. So it's hard sometimes for people to understand that if they've got a $70,000 vehicle, as an example, there's not a lot of butts that can fit in a $70,000 vehicle, and it's competing with new cars and yada, yada, yada. The longer that car sits, the worse it's going to get, and your ROI is going to absolutely suck. So they're better off to serve that car up at a price point that makes it go away early in the life cycle than jacking around with it and hoping that they're going to make a lot of money when the car is 55 or 60 days old. I'm appalled sometimes, to be candid with you. I don't look at the pricing metrics the way you guys do. Y'all have a lot more data than I do, but I'm appalled sometimes when I look at a car and they've got $70,000 in the car, as an example, and they've got it out on the internet and it's been out there for 75 days and they're still trying to make $3,000 on it. I don't know I don't understand all the numbers, but I can just tell you that isn't going to work out well in the end.
Never does. Never does.
Well, you said hope, and that always brings me back to I jokingly say some used car managers go on the Obama strategy, which he ran on hope and change. And so we price a car up and hope somebody overpays it or the market changes and my car becomes more valuable. Now, we got away with that a little bit in the COVID world, but that's just not happening anymore. So the other thing that I like to say too is the used car manager that tries to control gross by managing gross ends up costing you gross. And I'll say that again, the guy tries to control gross by managing gross, costs himself gross. And what Tommy's talking about, they try to manage the gross by saying, okay, I'm losing $2,000 here. Let's try to put it up on here on this fresh stuff and just see if I can make it up here. It's trying to control it. And, or you take I talked about that 31 to 60 bucket. Those are hard decisions. You might have a 35-day-old car. You're still priced at 98%. And you know the thing's probably not leaving till 93 or 95. You know you need to make the adjustment, but you see you're losing $800. And so you don't want to make that decision yet. It's okay when it's 50 or 60 or 70 or 90 days old to take a $1,000 loser. But to go from a $300 loser to an $800 loser on a 35-day-old car, you just don't want to make you're trying to manage that gross or control it, and it's just not going to happen. It's going to end up costing you gross. That lose 800 at 35 days or lose 12 or 1,500 at day 70, right? And so don't try to control this, or manage the gross. Let it be what it is. It is what it is. And like Tommy's always said, that the problem car is the 70, 90-day-old problem car. You knew it was a problem day one. You just didn't. You're trying to control it, and it's just and it's just not going to happen. It's going to cost you.
I'll often see someone in there. They're having the inventory. They have a car, and it's 75 days old, and they've got it still priced. They've got it priced such that they've got a $500 gross profit on it. And I'll say to them, let's suppose you sell that car today at 75 days old and you make $500 on it. Let's just suppose that happens, and we're happy to make that go away, and it happens. My question to you is, have we priced that car the same way back when it was 25 days old? Do you think we could have sold it and made that $500 then? Now, we don't know the answer to that, always make that same. We don't know the answer to that, but the odds are if you can sell it at 75 and make 5 on it, you could have sold it back when it was 25 and made the 5 on it. Which way would your ROI been better, and which way would we have been better? We'd have turned the money over. We're going to yada, yada. Everybody kind of understands the drill.
Great stuff. Follow up to that, because I'm interested to hear both you guys what your comments would be on this. Because a lot of times I hear dealers will comment to me, because a lot of times we'll talk about the age of a unit, just like you both referred to, and then on a following maybe the next week's call or 2 weeks from now, they sell. I'm gonna say they get lucky and they sell an aged unit, and they make a PVR of $3,000, and so they want to throw that up and go, hey, we sold this vehicle at 65 days and we made $3,000 on it. And so that used car dealers, I think, have a tendency, or used car managers have a tendency to really operate on that per vehicle gross. So here's what we're making per, right? And so my question is, if you're not selling what you're stocking, but you're telling me that you're making an average of $3,000 on the front, is that accurate? Do you guys feel that's accurate if you're not selling what you're stocking?
Not selling what you're stocking.
You got 100, you're selling 70, but you're making $3,000 a copy.
But you say you're making $3,000 a copy. Do you feel like that number's accurate if you're not selling what you're having stock?
Sometimes that number is like that because they're selling the fresh stuff and the other stuff is setting, and so it looks like the averages are good, but the crap is setting, and that window that thing will eventually close up on them and make them.
That's where you got to do a chargeback and write down all your cars and go, okay, now let's your $3,000 on your 70 sales made you this much money. Now if I write these cars down and we hit that growth, you're losing money, right? How'd that look for you?
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to pull out. Is I just feel like I tell dealers all the time, I don't feel like that number's accurate. How can you tell me I'm at $3,000 a copy if you're not selling what you're stocking? That's hard for me to give you credit for that calculation, because you really don't know that, because you've got inventory bleeding through and you're not selling it. So that, you might look at that at the end of the year, but you'd have to pull that average down, because you're not selling what you're stocking.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go please.
Another barometer of that is that if you look at your average cost per unit sold versus your average cost per unit in stock, you will oftentimes see that the stuff you're stocking ain't what you're selling. It's in that same family what we're talking about right here.
Right.
Well, I was just going to say, any other industry would have you write down those assets, and but for some reason we don't. I mean, unless we need to rob Peter to pay Paul and shuffle money around but I mean, okay. Take your gross and then minus the write downs of water, negative equity that we have in these aged cars, and you're not where you think you are. And so I'd rather take a $2,000 front selling 100% of my inventory than a $3,000 front selling 70% of my inventory.
Yeah. I was doing a 20 group meeting years ago, and the room is always set up in a horseshoe, and I'll never forget this. Something that's always stuck in my mind. There was a dealer sitting in the second seat on the right-hand side. I could see him right now. Guy was from Louisiana. He said, Tommy, the problem, we were talking about people having cars, and they have a car that's 75, 80 years old, and you make $3,000 or $4,000 on it. He said, Tommy, the problem in the car business is every now and then a miracle happens. And I think what happens to us is, particularly in used car managers, they tend to want to remember the miracles. They had a miracle happen. One time they had a car that was aged out. They made a bunch of money on it, probably doing COVID, made a bunch of money on it. And then inside their brain, they're going, oh, I think I can do that again. I think I can. And they're hanging on to this whole hope thing. Jason mentioned, they have this, they're looking for the miracle, and it ain't going to happen.
It's just like going to freaking Vegas, and you hit $10,000 and made $10,000, and you keep going back because you think you're going to hit $10,000 again. You got lucky, ain't hitting it again, buddy. Yeah.
I like to say that those guys have a hopium addiction.
What is it called? A hopium?
A hopium addiction.
Yeah, I like that. I'm stealing that. So thank you.
Oh, you can have it. You're not stealing a thing. Yeah. But it right to the point that we remember the best instances that we ever had with a particular vehicle. Yeah. And try to duplicate it without using, sound statistical data.
Sure.
To kind of plan our course going forward. And it's an epidemic. It is, because a lot of guys, just like the example that John brought up, they're resistant to factual data, but their experience rules everything, and they know that they can work their way out of a bad situation. And so that's when we see a lot of inconsistency in how the inventory is performing.
Sure.
Yeah. We visit with a lot of new guys who are coming into the industry or ascending to management positions in the industry, and have only been in, we like to call them COVID babies, have been in the last few years. Now that the industry is returning to reality, where you have to have sound principles in place and the discipline to kind of adhere to a policy. What is your advice, Mr. Gibbs, to training new managers in that role to put together a well-structured used car operation?
I think the real problem occurs sometimes when we think we can train a used car manager and that's going to cure it. And the training I've done over the years, I've had a big emphasis on making sure we train all the members of the management team. So when I go into a dealership or a dealer group, I want the F&I, I want the BDC, I want the service direct, I want the comptroller. I want everybody in that room for training. And the reason I say that is because that even though you may have a younger person or someone new to the job that you've given some good principles to, but if the rest of the team isn't on the same page, they're going to keep walking in the landmines, and it's just not going to work. So I think that it's not just a matter of training a new person in what's good used car principles. If they don't have the support system that everybody's not thinking on the same page, it's very, very difficult for them to make a difference. So I think that it does start with training that person and give them all the information possible. The other piece of that, I think, is a futile mistake. If I had a new used car manager day, I think it's a futile mistake, whether they're experienced or not experienced, for a dealer to turn that used car department over to that person. And my point is this: I remember when I first became a used car manager, the general sales manager, who was just a terrific person, he knew the business well. He held my hand for months and months and months. We did everything together. We appraised every car together. We were absorbed with each other, and me getting the knowledge that I needed from him. And I think that's the way a general manager should treat a newer used car manager. You don't just give them a little bit of schooling, send them to a workshop, and think that's going to take care of it. No, we're going to be at this together. And if I'm the general manager, you show me a general manager that's absorbed with used cars, or a dealer principal, however you want to think about this, and they're absorbed with used cars, and they are an integral part of the used car department, and they're not just, quote, turning it over to someone. I'm going to show you a dealership that's really rocking, because we all know, everybody in this, and everybody's watching this, and everybody that's involved in this podcast, we all know that any dealership that's focused on used cars in that way, it just keeps the whole thing running really, really well. It sort of supports parts, body shop, service, yada, yada, yada. So again, I think that it's not just a matter of training a used car manager, it's a matter of training the entire management team to have the same mindset about where we're going. Oftentimes, people in the dealership, managers, they all have a kind of an understanding of what used cars is all about, but they're not on the same page.
Well, and to me, it's just not just the management team either. It's everybody. And the reason why I say that is, obviously this is a team effort, but we've been preaching that, inventory management should be lead management should be inventory management. So even if you have one used car manager, every morning that used car manager, because the way we're looking at it now is, if I have a truck problem, my trucks are sitting, I got 30 in stock, only on pace to sell 10. That's that bucket management of trucks, right? I need to sit down with my BDC sales team and say, hey guys, any leads, and that's what we work on. We'll show them this, is any leads on my trucks. I need to increase contact ratios so we can get these things moving, so I don't drop pricing, right? So I need every morning for my sales team to be on board of where I'm heading, what we're trying to accomplish today. And we call it, because of Lotpop, POP, processes on purpose. I'm giving my BDC sales team a purpose through their day. Hey, I need help with trucks. I need help with my 2023s. I need help with my 31 to 45 age bucket. Break, let's go. But the other part, not only your sales team needs to be involved with the used car manager. And remember how I said earlier, the used car manager needs to be on the same page as the service director, as they're trying to drive this, average turnaround time from 10 down to 5. Well, then my used car manager needs to sell 5 days faster. But think about the sales team. When I got a fresh car and I'm wanting to drag people in to show it to them, and it's in service, the service people getting pissed off. What's the salesman keep bringing these people in to look at these cars and even finish it, right? Well, so they better be on the same page, because I'm going to be bringing in customers in, even though that car might be on the rack or something. I'm going to have to make sure everybody is all flowing with this same process, because you're going to have that problem. You're going to have salespeople trying to flip customers to a one-day-old car, and services complain, go, what the hell, you got these salespeople back here in my service? Can you get them out, please? I got and then the used car manager needs to get the BDC, and same thing. BDC needs to come back to used car manager going, hey, we need more leads. We got a lot of cars out there with no leads. We got 60% of our inventory with no leads. What adjustments can you make so we can get some more leads in our department, right? So they all need to be working hand in hand.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hey, dealers and managers, if you're listening to, I'm telling you, there's been a ton of gold on this podcast today. But that last exchange right there about getting your entire team involved, that is a massive golden nugget, man.
Huge.
That is absolutely massive. So I hope you caught that. Hit replay and listen to that again. That is massive.
Don't you love the way I set them up for that?
That was good. You teed it up, brother.
Well, okay. So Jason, let me ask you this question, because I had this pop up with the dealer that I was working with the other day. As I was training salespeople in our process, one of their biggest, I guess, complaints or suggestions,
Pushbacks. Yeah.
way that they could, improve their process was the amount of time that a lead that was generated spent in the BDC before it got to sales.
Mm-hmm.
How do you look at that? And what would be your recommendation in figuring out exactly what that magic number is for a lead to be with a BDC agent without response before you send it over to a rolling ball of butcher knives or a trained killer of a salesperson?
Well, that's hard for me to answer because I almost think opposite. If I'm going to have it, I can't say I don't like BDCs because I see a purpose behind them. I would want my sales team to handle that lead for a week or two. Then if I don't get a hold of it, push it to the BDC and let them do the long term. So if the dealer's doing opposite of that, I don't know how to answer that. Here's what I would tell you now, if this doesn't answer your question, but one of the confusing things was, one of the things we tracked was leads to appointments. Let's say it takes 3 days between getting a lead to getting an appointment. Okay, because that's what the BDC is trying to do, right? And so one question I'll ask is, hey, Mr. Dealer, if your leads to appointment went from 3-day average to a 10-day average, is that a good or bad thing? And a lot of people think that would be a bad thing. I don't want to take 10 days to get a lead into the door, but it's actually a good thing because what you're finding is that the leads to appointment being only 3 days. And so extended time in the BDC is not a bad thing because basically what I'm saying is if I look at that leads to appointment in 3 days and I look at the buckets, we looked at like 0 to 7 day leads, 8 to 14 day leads, 15, well, all we're doing was setting appointments on fresh leads. Right. And we weren't working the 30, 40, 60-day leads as aggressively. So I wasn't making appointments on those. Now, all of a sudden, if we start working 30, 40, 50-day leads, because again, I don't care if it's a 50-day lead or a 2-day lead. If I got a problem on my trucks and the truck's still in stock, increase contact ratio. So if I'm all of a sudden making appointments on 30, 40, 50-day leads, guess what? My average time from lead to appointment is going to go up from 3 days to 7 days or 7 days to 10 days. And so I'm okay with that because if I'm seeing that progress. So, that's how I would answer it. Again, if they're doing it opposite, I don't know.
Yeah. So starting it out with sales and then flipping it over to BDC once we get to a certain period of time without contact or setting an appointment.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Love it. I love
it. Gentlemen. Oh my gosh.
We got another couple of hours. Can we stretch this out a little bit?
I'm typing in the back screen. Let's do 3 hours, man. I have so many questions I haven't even gotten to yet. Chris didn't even get a chance to ask any questions.
No, that's fine because all y'all's questions are my questions too. And I mean, granted, we have, Tommy, Jason. I mean, we get question after question after question after question all the time. And, I will ask 2 questions here. Question number 1, would you both come back on another episode? There's question number 1. Question number 2, and this is for you, Tommy. NADA is around the corner. We are setting up at booth 1219 a hot seat this year. I would absolutely be thrilled if you're going to be at NADA, if you would come sit the hot seat with us and let some of the people hear some of the gospel from Tommy Gibbs. I mean, I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. It'd be great. It's a
direct flight too, by the way.
It is. I already booked it. Yeah. As for another podcast, I'll be happy to do it, but I've already told you everything I know.
No, you didn't. No, nice try, Tommy. Nice try. You definitely have it. Well, listen, gentlemen, we are just a smidge over, but I can't, thank you enough for just a smidgen of the experience, of the facts, of the overall, wealth of knowledge that you guys have dropped in on this podcast today. Anderson, any closing thoughts or statements for our listeners, for our viewers, for Tommy, for Jason, anything from you, sir?
I just thank you. I mean, listen, man, I'm an old car dog, been in this business a while. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to continue to learn and the opportunities that are presented like this one this morning, where we've got Jason and Tommy sharing all these nuggets and a chance to ask them questions. So yeah, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Ronaldo, anything from you?
Man, I would just, second that. Yeah, being grateful for the opportunity to kind of, sit at the knee of these two gentlemen and just gain some stuff that I can pass along to the people I come in contact with.
Yeah.
And after,
Yeah.
when it's all said and done, that's what our business is all about, and that's what helps our industry grow and continue to progress successfully. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And I look forward to the next time that I get to have a conversation with y'all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
There you
Our
have it.
business is full of good people, man. Tommy, I appreciate you spending the time with us.
It was my honor, my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
No doubt about it. So, folks, there you have it. There is episode 10. We've had two of the legends in the automobile industry join us this week on Lot Talk, powered by Lotpop. We look forward at the same bat time, same bat channel for you guys to tune in again. But also, NADA around the corner, you heard it live. Tommy Gibbs will come sit the hot seat with us. Tommy will get you some dates and times of exactly when we'd love to have you, corresponding with your schedule, of course. But on behalf of John Anderson, of Ronaldo Leonard, of all of our family here at Lotpop, and we really thank you guys for tuning in, for listening. Please catch us on the next episode. As again, our goal, give back to our community that's given to us so graciously. That's what we want to do each and every week. Continue to give to all of our brothers and sisters right here in the best industry on earth, the automobile industry. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you next trip.